Hey guys, welcome to another of the 90s Doggo Podcast. And last time we covered the Dune movie, but the David Lynch version. And now we're going to do the Dune 2021 version. You know, the Denis whatever. Anyways, here I am with my brother, the voice of Rat.
Hello. Yes, now we will talk about the good version of Dune. The one directed by Denis Villeneuve. Well, because we are Chilean, we will call him just Denis Villanueva, no más.
Yeah, Denis Villanueva.
Yes, it's easier. Sorry. I don't have nothing versus you, Mr. Dennis, and that you
Mr.
are Frenchy, but your last name is a little difficult to pronounce.
Yeah, but anyways, this is obviously the most modern one, the latest that has been made, and because of that it has a lot of budget. And now you could say this is kinda like what the original David Lynch version wanted to be. Two parts, very long parts that cover the pretty much the same amount of space of the movie, and this is the first one.
Yes, you could say this movie is like the idealized version of the first, but I think not only David Lynch have an influence of, I say Ridley Scott in the aesthetic too.
Yeah, at times it feels like Prometheus or Alien. Yeah, because at one moment it was supposed that Ridley Scott was going to do the David Lynch movie, but they kind of seems like they took inspirations from what that could have been. And yeah, this movie tries to be less over the top, more serious than the David Lynch, but
that has its own flaws, I think.
Yeah, that's yeah, and because of that, like we said in the last podcast, the characters have a little less personality.
They are more just boring. Sorry, it's the crew.
Yeah.
I much prefer the old Baron Harkonnen.
Oh yeah, him especially is like downgraded in this version. Yeah, but ironically, even though this movie tries to be more serious and less strange than the other one, it starts very similarly with a woman talking to you and explaining you the universe directly at you.
Yes, so there is still some exposition, you could say.
Yeah, just is told in different ways than just a chapter monologue.
Yes, like for some reason in PowerPoints, you could say in this movie.
There's always a chapter watching TV or a PowerPoint presentation or a hologram, and they are explaining to you what the world is.
Yes.
But anyways, let's start. We are explaining, like in the last movie, who are the Harkonnens, the Atreides, and the spies.
The Fremen.
Yes.
Emperor of the Knowing Universe.
Though he doesn't appear in this movie.
No.
And yeah, we start the movie and we meet of main character Paul.
Again.
Yes. And this time he's a little different this version. He's like they kinda wanted to make him look more young and less experienced.
And he's very slim.
Yeah.
For some reason.
I mean, in the book, I think that say that Paul was very young and like non-intimidating, like a very skinny guy. So I think it's just faithful to the source material. But then he
looks like a hobbit.
Yeah, but then we go into one of the first things that you will notice that is very different in this movie. That the shields are completely different. No longer a bunch of boxes with barely the shape of a human. Now it's a blue, transparent thing.
That vibrates, but sorry, I have something to say. That's not a fair comparison because that movie is over 30 years old, so obviously the effects gonna be much better.
Well, yeah, I am not saying this. It is understandable that it's a lot older, but it is better. I think that it is also better and that in concept, like the original David Lynch version could have done something similar to this, but they wanted to be that weird box thing.
With drone effects.
Yeah, if anything, this other version is saving a lot of money in effects because most of the time the shield is not very visible. Unless they get shot at or something. Then when the shield blocks something, it goes blue, but when the shield is being penetrated, it starts to go in red.
Mm-hmm.
And then we also learn something that the mother of Paul tries to make him use the voice on her so he can practice.
Yes, you could say that.
They are introducing the concept of the voice very early on because it is going to be important in this movie.
Yes, and in this version, Paul is trained by his mother all his life, so you now know that there is something more.
Yes. Also, this movie is there's more content in this movie, so there's kind of like less plot holes or lack of information. This movie, in that sense, works better than the other because, like we said, is two movies and the same amount of story that the other have to do in only one.
Yes, but I don't know. Maybe this is a little soon, but I still, in some parts, prefer the David Lynch version.
Yeah, me too.
For example, the creepy scenes like the dreams and all that thing that are more mystical, you could say, is better in the original movie,
Yeah.
I think.
For example, the imagery in the original at times is better because I don't think we talked about this, but there's a little box thing, like a little challenge that Paul has to do there, where they put a needle near his neck, and he has to put his hand inside of a box that gives you pain, and if he removes the hand, they will stab him in the neck with a needle that's poisonous, so he will instantly die. And in the David Lynch version, they show imagery of his hand being melted by some acid. That's what he's feeling. His hand is not actually being melted, but that's what the thing does. It gives you pain.
In the new movie, you see funny faces of the actor.
Yeah, I mean, he's a good actor. He does well with expressing the emotion of pain, but it's not the same when you have the imagery of the hand being as completely destroyed.
Yes, the other scene, for example, is almost as a horror movie like The Shining, the imagery.
Yeah, and in this one, they also put in this one some visions of the future. Like, there's a lot of that in this movie, probably more than in the other one. And yeah, that is it in the ends, and obviously his mom is very worried because he almost died.
Yes, but I think, for example, that scene in particular is more powerful and better told in the David Lynch version. Maybe this movie has bigger production and still have many things that I like, but the other I think the symbols are just better told.
Yes.
Maybe, I don't know, the director was a little more creative with his mind. I don't know.
Well, it's David Lynch that who is very crazy. He likes to make bad shit insane stuff.
Yes, I think that his version was good, obviously flawed, but wasn't his fault.
Yes. And this version, one thing you will notice is when you see the Harkonnens, they try to make them more serious. Their ships are aesthetic of the place they are is like that it came from an alien movie, and they are very angry all the time. And you will notice that when you see the minions, the main minions of the Baron.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, one of them is played by Dave Bautista.
Mm-hmm.
And he's nothing like Drax from the MCU. Is the exact opposite. He's serious and very quiet.
I think Stink was a better villain in the other movie.
Yeah.
Well, he was cheesy, but
he fitted in that movie.
he did that movie and that universe.
Yeah, and he fitted with the Baron of that movie too.
Yes. Well, the Baron in this version is played by Stellan Skarsgård, the father of it, or Pennywise, Bill Skarsgård. And I think he's a good actor and very methodical. For example, he don't want to be a CJ blob. He wanted a fat suit of over his own body mass.
Yeah, it was really big, and he almost looks like a real fat guy. And well, in the original, he was a lot more cartoony and over the top. He has a lot of diseases in his face and everything, but none of that.
Blobs.
Yeah,
bulbs.
in this one, there's not of that.
Mm-hmm. Yes, but sorry to say that, but I prefer the classic Baron. The new Baron
this one
is more boring.
Yeah, it's probably like a more dignified role, less cartoony and all, but it's also kind of less memorable and entertaining.
Yes, because I think the classic Baron that was cartoonish evil was funny and he has more personality to it.
Yeah.
This version they try to be more seriously, but I don't think they made it that well.
Yeah, in this one they try to make him more mysterious. They never explain, in this movie at least, how he floats, so you kinda...
Yes, they explain it.
Hmm?
They float. They all float.
Ah, yeah.
Sorry, I need to joke. Huh?
Yeah, but anyways, the thing is that they don't explain it. You think that maybe he has some powers of something. The only like hint you have is that in his back there's like something that glows. That is a mechanism that is what allows him to fly, to float like in the original. It was a mechanical suit, but you in this one, because they don't tell you, you think that maybe he has levitation powers.
Yes, because that you say he looks like a more, I don't know, boring version of Palpatine.
Yeah, and fat.
And fat.
Yeah. But anyways, yeah, the
Baron still serves his purpose in the story, I think.
yeah, obviously.
Have a villain in the story.
Because Paul is still not his heel turn. Cheating. But anyways, we have to continue, and then we go to where was the next part?
Well, the movie first is in the planet of Paul Caladan.
Yes, Ah, yeah, and here we meet the Duke Leto.
Yes, that's Poe.
Paul's father.
Yes, from Star Wars, but this Duke Leto looks similar to the first one, and I'm gonna say something. The two versions look a lot like Arturo Prat Chacon. That was the Chilean hero like Abraham Lincoln. You could say the bigger hero of Chilean mythology.
Yeah.
The Goku of Chileans.
Yeah, but anyways, I think that I like this version more of Leto than in the original because
He appears more.
yeah, and he also is one of the characters in this one that has more personality, I think. Yeah.
Well, because you need to you could say see his personality. He's the ultimate good guy and the total opposite of Paula Atreides in the future.
Yeah.
Duke Leto is a moral compass of what could have been if weren't becomes, in the
bad
next
guy.
movie the bad guy and a fascist.
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah, because of that, he's my favorite character in this movie. He's very likable, and he even says in one part that even if he doesn't want to accept his job, Paul, he will still be what he always needed him to be, his son.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's very sweet.
Yes, he's more memorable than Aquaman.
Yeah, Aquaman is also in this movie.
Mm-hmm. As Duncan.
Yeah, the role that was not Patrick Stewart. That was the
Josh Brolin, the Thanos role in this version.
Yeah. Yeah, and then Duncan in this movie has a bigger role.
Yes, with more badass scenes.
Yeah.
In this movie, this is a difference from the David Lynch version. This movie has more action scenes than the first, and they are longer.
Yeah, in that sense, it's more like a Star Wars movie. Mm-hmm. More pew 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 and all of that.
Yes.
Though it is still very slow paced at times, and there is a lot of time with exposition and lore building. World building and lore dumps in between all of that. Mm-hmm. The problem is that there's not much character stuff.
No, because, like I said, all the characters act stoic all the time.
Yes. And because of that, there's not much personality in them. One of the ones who has more personality, ironically, is, Aquaman, Duncan, because he is acting just like that role. He's being Jason Momoa. Mm-hmm. And because of that, he's obviously very charismatic, but it kind of takes you out of the movie a little bit because he's just being himself.
Yes, he's the same as The Rock. They aren't, sorry to say that, not good actors, just like able persons.
Yes, they are like... that's what makes them popular. If anything, the less memorable roles of Jason Momoa usually are the ones where he's not being just himself. That's what people want him to do ever since Aquaman.
Mm-hmm. Yes, but we will skip some parts. For example, the movie has many similarities with the original. The assassination of Paul, so we can
yes, the assassination attempt. We can maybe compare a little bit to the scene. In this one, the hunter seeker is not like a big needle thing. It's like more like a book.
Yes, like a flea.
Yeah, and here they don't put the monologue of Paul explaining what the thing is. Instead, the scene just goes like that, and Paul it is in the dark and has to put in a hologram so they don't see it, and then it goes pretty much the same from that.
Yes.
He grabs the thing when someone else opens the door.
Yes, that thing was, yeah, like you said, a bug, not a flea, was a fly. Sorry, I mistake that.
Yeah.
And
Yes, and they found the traitor that was hidden for weeks inside of a wall.
Mhm.
And in this version, they can stay days in a wall because without food or anything, because they have the steel suits.
Mhm.
They give them water, and because they drink their own
urine.
urine, yes, and sweat.
Yes.
Ugh. But that way they can live for very days in the deserts, but also in there.
Mhm. And
Well, obviously the attacks start not long after that, since there was an assassination attempt.
yes, and you know there is a traitor. A spoiler is
The doctor.
The doctor. And
Yeah, that goes very similar as well.
Mhm. So, you know, he removed his tooth and implant a
Fake
one with a poisonous gas. The difference is that in this version, when Duke Leto tries to kill the Baron, in this version the Baron is more intelligent. Hmm?
Yeah, he puts on the shield before getting close to him.
Mm. Yes, I know they want to be the Baron this version a big badass compared
Oh yeah,
to the
but
original.
this part is kind of funny when he's flotating, trying to be intimidating in front of the doctor, and he's slowly floating towards him while chewing something, and it looks funny. A flotating fat guy slowly getting close to you while chewing, it looks funny, like if Homer was trying to look like an evil emperor or something.
Yes, like a psychic demon, I don't know.
Yeah.
Huh?
But also, yeah, before we continue with that part, there's also the part where the first worm attacks, and here we got to see the worm. It's like I explained it in the other part. It's like a big, long thing, a tube with a butthole in the front.
I suppose I haven't seen many buttholes in
Yeah.
my life, and I don't want to, but yes, I prefer the worms of the original more.
Yeah, it looked better. I feel like they just wanted to give him a different look in this one, but it's kind of worse. They didn't want to copy and paste the look of the David Lynch movie, because that's like in other version of Dooms, that's usually the look that they give it. Because it is so iconic, but they wanted to be different in this one.
Yes, but being different not necessarily is better.
Yeah. And also in that scene we get to see the Lito being a very good guy because he rescues many people.
And he preferred his people over the spies.
Yes. Another chance when we see that Duke Leto is the good guy, so it's very tragic when he dies trying to kill the Baron.
Yes, and in this version, I forgot to say it, but there is, or at least you don't see the space wilt, so there is no mother brain.
Yeah, that thing. They're probably saving that for the next one. I haven't seen it yet.
But I know that creature looks cheesy, but I like it that from the first movie.
Yeah, I think they didn't want to confuse much people in this movie. Even though this movie also has its weird thing, like the Harkonnens have some kind of weird spider thing pet. Yeah, that has human hands in his legs. and it is just there drinking water like it is a dog. Yeah, and it's just there. They don't say what it is. It's just there.
Yes. Maybe it's an experiment. I don't know. The Harkonnen are just pure evil, so
Who knows?
who knows what they do in their spare time?
Yeah.
And
Yeah, I saw something that's different in this movie. The Fremen are more like,
Arabs.
yeah, like Arabs.
Yes, for some reason this movie has many visual cues. You could say to the Iraq War. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe it's because the similarities on the environment.
Yes, of the environment.
Yeah.
But I like that different design they have now, the Fremen.
Yeah, is.
And in this version, you could say the Fremen, they are not evil, but they are more brutal or savage because they have, like duels to the dead.
Yeah.
And things like that.
Yeah. I think they try to make them look like natives because that's what they are.
They have their laws look like the Italian law. You could say eye for an eye and all that. So they are not the holy good guys in this version, like you could say in the original movie.
Yeah. But
They are more black and white.
something that we can talk about the fight scenes in this one, because in this movie the action scenes there is always people with the shields. There's very rarely shootings. Most of the time the people fight with knives because the slow knife penetrates the shield. And there is also, but in the air with the ships and everything, there's a lot of missiles and things that, like, there's a missile that kind of drills in the shield and makes it explode. And there's also like
see many blasters.
Yeah, and there is also like a tiny version of that for soldiers that is like a needle that drills in the shield very slowly, and that's why it penetrates. That's how the Doctor captured Leto in this version. And yeah, in the action scenes, they use a lot of these helicopters that look like dragonflies because they have wings that move like that. And yes, it's very impressive because it has a lot of budget and they put a lot of money into this. They wanted to compete with Star Wars.
Yes, and it shows.
Yeah, definitely.
What? For example, back to the plot of the movie, obviously they capture Lady Jessica and Paul Atreides.
Yeah.
And finally, I can say more or less the pronunciation is still difficult. The Gene Besset, you could say, that are the witches.
The space witches.
So after that,
they capture them and they are going to throw them into the desert so the worms eat them.
Because there was supposed to be a truce between the Harkonnen and the Atreides.
And this scene is like the old one, but also different because in here Paul also uses his the voice to control one of the enemy soldiers to make to free his mom, to remove the muscle from her face. And then she uses the voice on the others to kill each other.
Yes. But I think that was a little mistake because in this version they could use one as a pilot.
Yes, and they don't know how to pilot the thing, so they have to get out of it.
And after that, they are just around walking for the desert and more creepy scenes, you could say.
Yeah. They have to go in a tent that like grabs water from the sand and gives them to them.
Yes, and they, for some telepathic reason, knows that the Duke is dead.
Yeah, the Bene Gesserits have that power.
And they want to go to the Fremen because they had one of the ecologists of Doctor was a Fremen.
Yeah, and Duncan finds them and he tells them the bad news even though they already know because of the telekinetic powers. Yes. And here there's one last action scene when they try to capture them.
Yes,
and in this part is when Duncan dies.
No, but because that there is one of the other dreams that are like prophecies or epiphanies that for some reason have Power Rangers and ninjas. I don't know. That was so out of place.
For some reason in that scene the choreography looks very like
Go Power Ranger.
Yeah. Like, very different than the rest.
Yes, and sorry, but it don't mix well.
Yeah.
I don't know what they were thinking.
It's something to put in the trailers.
Yes.
To make people think that the movie has more action than it does.
Yes, I like Power Rangers.
Yeah, but it doesn't fit in this because
even in the David Lynch versus they won't fit.
Yeah, because it doesn't make sense. You are supposed to use the knife slowly when they have the shield, so you wouldn't do these quick slashes on the other stuff that look very fancy, but not very practical for a shield like that.
Yes, and that's so quick movements are a little out of place because they are in a ultra hot desert.
But anyways, in this last scene, the Fremen try to defend the place, and Duncan sacrifices himself to save the family.
Yes.
And of course, because he's Aquaman, he has to go in a blaze of glory.
Yes, very macho, you could say.
Yeah, he kills a lot of them, and even when they stab him, he's still going.
Yes!
Yeah.
That was his Naruto moment! His anime moment.
Yeah. But anyways, the movie doesn't last much after that. It kinda ends.
Yes,
not in a very climatic way, because later is the part where the worm chases them, and then they find the Fremen.
And for some reason there is a ritual that they need to beat a Fremen to become part of one.
Yes.
Well, the action scene was good in that version.
Yes, Paul doesn't want to kill that Fremen because
and he spared him twice.
Yeah, he never had killed a man before, so he was hesitant to do it. But the guy didn't want to give up.
Yes, so it wasn't his fault, you could say, of Paul.
Yes, he had to kill him, and you could say that this is the first step in his villain arc, when he has to take the life of someone that wasn't really a bad guy.
Yes. Is take alive or be taken one, you could say.
And then after that, the movie kinda just ends. We see a guy like riding on a worm, and
like he was some, I don't know, cowboy riding a horse.
Yes.
I still think that is a little cheesy.
Yeah, it looks funny, like a huge animal is being controlled by someone with a few sticks.
For example, sorry to say that, but even if you could tame the animal? How can you control it? You don't have the strength to move left or right that thing.
Yes.
You need to be, I don't know, a gigant 40 meters or much more.
I don't know how can even the worm feel that
Pain.
yeah, to
Yes.
force him to move. But anyways, that's where the movie ends, and yes, we liked this one. And well, I think I like it more in some ways than the David Lynch, and in some ways less.
Yes.
But we are watching a incomplete movie because the part two will probably fill in some gaps that this one still doesn't have. This is not a complete story.
Yes.
The David Lynch version also wasn't a complete story.
If we want to do a versus Dune versus David Lynch Dune and Denis Villanueva Dune, I think to be just, you could say that Dune, you know, the David Lynch, we could compare when all the two movies ends, when they meet the Fremen, because the second part of the David Lynch is much more rushed.
Yes.
So, I don't know, maybe, I know the internet will hate me, but if to that part,
Yes.
to that part, just to that part, I think I prefer a little more the David Lynch version.
Yes, but the David Lynch doesn't end in that part.
Yes.
And that's when the movie gets worse, when you go in this last 40 minutes that they do everything very rushed.
Yes, so I don't know what movie is better.
Yeah.
Obviously, the second doesn't have the problems of the original movie.
But like we mentioned,
Has its
this
own
new one,
problems.
yes.
For example, being all that serious all the time, I think that is in detriment of the story and the characters.
Yes. And yes, like I said before, in this one, in the original, my favorite character was Paul, the main character. And in this one, my favorite character was Lito, who was played by Oscar Isaac, who did a great job, but he dies like halfway through the movie.
Yes.
So he's not, the best character is not for the whole thing.
Yes, it's like in the new Godzilla when they kill Bryan Cranston in 15 minutes of the movie and they have your generic soldier son as the main character.
And this movie, Paul was a little more boring, but granted, we don't see more of him.
Well, the problem of Paul in both versions is, in the beginning, Paul he doesn't do much. Things happen to him, and he needs to be rescued and things like that. He's an active protagonist, you could say.
Yes. Even though the David Lynch version, the worst part of the movie are the last 40 minutes, that's where Paul becomes more of a character of his own and he starts to take action instead of being rescued all the time. So that part really made Paul more entertaining, but we don't get to that part in this version.
Yes, we know there is a part 2 and we will watch sometime.
Yes. But anyways, I think that's all.
Yes, thank you.
Yes, thanks for watching and see you later, guys.
Ciao, ciao.
Yeah.